We're more than 4 hours away, Bernie, from midnight touching the great state of California. But there's one place in California, namely Los Angeles and the Los Angeles airport, where our own Greg Lamont has kept a close eye on what's taking place. Greg.
Judy, no need to adjust your television set. What you see or don't see is exactly what's happening this minute at the world's fourth busiest airport. Normally, Los Angeles International Airport handles 166,000 passengers a day, but as you can see, there's hardly anyone here. All of the airport stores are open. There's just no one in them. In this terminal, there's normally 22 scheduled flights at this hour. Tonight, there are 2. Clearly, the overwhelming majority of people who are planning on traveling already have. Whether they were concerned about Y2K or possible terrorism, we don't know. We just know that they are not here. As far as Y2K is concerned, Los Angeles International Airport officials have told us that they are experiencing no problems either on the ground or in the air. The FAA has said all 565 of the airports it regulates are Y2K ready, and such would seem the case given the fact that U.S. airlines run off of Greenwich Mean Time, and it was midnight Greenwich Mean Time almost 4 hours ago. Not everyone has reached their destination, however. Joining me are David and Chris Grunhagen. They started off flying in Edmonton, Canada, went to Minneapolis, then ended up in Orange County, had to take a bus from Orange County to LAX. They are now getting on a red-eye in a couple of hours to Sydney, Australia. You folks must be absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, looking forward to laying down. Yeah.
What, first of all, have friends and relatives said to you about traveling on New Year's Eve?
Why are you taking your children with you? In anticipation of something terrible happening, but I have to ignore them. Here I am.
Friends and relatives more concerned than you?
I don't think so. I feel if the crew is willing to get on board, I'm confident to get on board with them. And I think that, like you were saying, Y2K is pretty much figured out as far as I'm concerned, and I feel good about it.
Do you have any concerns at all, or did it cross your mind about the fact that you would be flying at midnight, at least Los Angeles time, to Australia?
Well, one thing is it's already New Year's Day there, so that if anything has happened there, it would have happened. Here, we're going to be gone 2 hours or an hour and a half before anything could possibly happen at that glitch. So I guess we'll be out in the ocean, and we hope nothing happens. You
were also telling me earlier that your thoughts were, why would airlines put planes up in the air if there were concerns?
Well, exactly. There's millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of an airplane costs, plus the crews, plus everything else that could happen. I don't think that they would allow that to happen if they didn't feel confident, or the air traffic controllers would feel confident that anything could happen. I mean, I'm sure they're confident.
Now, it's my understanding you're getting on a Qantas flight.
Yeah.
As I understand it, that plane, a 747, holds about 400 passengers. Have you been told how many will be flying tonight?
I think about 50.
50 passengers. Yeah. Okay.
We're 4. We're 4 of them.
Happy New Year to you, too, and thank you very much for waiting for us.
Thanks a lot.
There are people still flying, and many folks now are saying they simply don't have any concerns about Y2K or any active terrorism. Bernie, Judy?
Greg, there are some people in Washington who are quite pleased to hear you report that because airspace is their primary concern. Carl Rochelle brings us up today.
Bernie, here's a look at the system right now. These are the aircraft that you see. These dots on this map are airplanes that are approaching airports. Now, this is what the picture looks like at the FAA's command center in Herndon, Virginia, where they track all of the airplanes that are flying within the controlled airspace controlled by the FAA. We had a briefing by a senior FAA official just a little while ago, and he said that so far the system is going through, his words, flying colors. That's the way it's dealt with Y2K. Monty Belger, the deputy administrator, said there have been no reports of any failure affecting operational or safety of any nature like that anywhere within the United States, and he said they're tracking the international systems and haven't come up with any problems in the international system either. He said there were a few minor glitches, perhaps a dozen or so. That's about half of what they normally get reported, most significant of which was a printer that affects the ocean systems. Now, ocean systems are those that control the airports flying into and out of the United States in the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, coming into and out of the country. Some printers down, but it didn't affect operations and it didn't affect safety. We were told that there was one incident reported to the FAA about an airport losing its landing lights, and they checked into that fairly closely and decided that determined that what had happened was a taxi driver hit a power pole and knocked the power out. And that was about the time that Y2K went through. That's the closest they have had to a problem of any kind within the system. Bernie, Judy?
Okay.
Well, a lot of us are resting easily, more easily hearing that. We can all breathe a much bigger sigh of relief. We're going to take a break. When we come back, much, much more on this night as we wait the millennium in the East Coast of the United States.
CNN's global coverage of Millennium 2000 is presented by Lincoln, American Luxury.
Adults, what do they know about the future? What do children know about the future? Watch this report by CNN's Ann McDermott in Los Angeles.
Raise your hand if you can tell me what an LP is.
LP?
Nope, they've never seen a needle on a record, or a TV that only got a couple of channels, or a world without computers. And they don't really remember Ronald Reagan. They've never seen the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and the Vietnam War, ancient history.
Raise your hand if you can tell me when the Vietnam War was.
In the 19-something.
1993, something like that.
Of course, they haven't studied it in school yet, but beyond that, their world is different from ours. The eyes of these children are fixed firmly on the future. They are certain that the future will be fun, that there will still be a Disneyland, but with rides to the moon, and roller coasters that really roar.
You get in it and it like took off and it went around like the whole entire world.
Movies, they will be amazing.
We will like have 3D movies and 3D movies? Like the explosions would like go right into your face.
But they won't hurt. These kids never want to see anyone get hurt. And they seem to think the world of the future will be a world without war. Sure, there'll be bad guys, but thanks to new technology, they'll get good again.
They can make criminals like better. They can delete their minds.
What about aliens? Well, what kind of millennium would it be without men from Mars?
We could make friends with aliens, and maybe the aliens could teach us better techniques.
A dazzling vision, but will it come true? They think so. They sure hope so.
The only thing I wish is for this world to be a better place for us and all creatures, animals, plants, and all living things.
We shall see. Ann McDermott, CNN, Los Angeles.
And we're watching because they're getting ready in Times Square. We'll be right back.